The Velkari exploration fleet moved through the darkness of space like hunting wolves. Their ships were large and powerful, with thick armor and heavy weapons. For 50 years, the Velkari had conquered world after world. They were proud warriors, who feared nothing in the galaxy. Commander Thexval stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the main window. His forearms crossed behind his back as he studied the empty space ahead. This sector had once belonged to the humans, but now it was silent. The humans had been gone for over 200 years. Everyone in the galaxy knew they were extinct. "Commander," called Scanner Officer Quintar from his station. "We are detecting something unusual ahead." Thexval turned his large head toward the scanner station. His yellow eyes glowed in the dim light of the bridge. "What do you see?" Quintar's fingers moved quickly over his control panel. Numbers and images appeared on his screen. "It appears to be a derelict vessel, very large. The design matches human ship patterns from our historical records." "A human ship?" Thexval moved closer to look at the scanner data. "Show me." The main screen flickered and changed. A massive shape appeared against the black of space. The ship was unlike anything Thexval had ever seen. It was smooth and sleek, like a giant blade floating in the darkness. Strange patterns covered its hull, creating designs that seemed to move when you looked at them too long. "How big is it?" Thexval asked. "At least 3 kilometers long, Commander. Maybe 4. The scanner readings are strange. The hull seems to absorb our scans. We cannot get clear measurements." Thexval stared at the image. In all his years of conquest, he had seen many human ships. They were usually boxy and practical, built for trade or simple defense. This ship was different. It looked dangerous, even while floating dead in space. "Are there any life signs?" he asked. Quintar shook his head. "None that we can detect. No energy readings either. The ship appears to be completely dead. It has probably been drifting here since the humans disappeared. But it looks perfect," Thexval said. "No damage, no signs of age. How can a ship survive 200 years in space without any maintenance?" "The hull material is unknown, Commander. Our scanners cannot identify what it is made of. It does not match any substance in our databases." Thexval walked slowly around the bridge, thinking. The other officers watched him carefully. They knew their commander was considering something important. The Velkari were always looking for new technology to make their empire stronger. A human ship from before their extinction might contain valuable secrets. "Take us closer," Thexval ordered. "I want a full scan of that vessel." The Velkari fleet moved forward slowly. 3 heavy cruisers and 5 smaller escort ships approached the silent human warship. As they got closer, the ship seemed to grow larger and larger. Its smooth hull reflected no light, making it look like a hole cut out of space itself. "Ship designation is visible on the hull," reported Communications Officer Hextara. "It reads UES Eternal Vigil." "Eternal Vigil," Thexval repeated the words. The humans always chose such dramatic names for their ships. "Commander," Quintar called out again, "I am reading some unusual energy patterns. Very faint, but they seem to be coming from deep inside the ship." "What kind of energy?" "Unknown. The readings are unlike anything in our records. They appear to be waiting." Thexval frowned. "Waiting? What do you mean?" "The energy patterns are stable but inactive, like a power source that is turned off but ready to activate." The commander studied the image of the human ship on the screen. Something about it made him uncomfortable. but he could not understand why. The Velkari had destroyed the human empire completely. Every human world had been conquered or destroyed. Every human fleet had been defeated. There was nothing left of their civilization except old ruins and empty ships like this one. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "should we move away? The ship could be trapped or dangerous." Thexval almost agreed. Something deep in his warrior instincts told him to be careful, but his curiosity was stronger than his caution. The Velkari had become the most powerful race in the galaxy by taking risks and seizing opportunities. This mysterious human ship might contain technology that could make them even stronger. "No," he said firmly. "We will investigate. Prepare a boarding party. I want to know what secrets this ship holds." "Commander," Quintar said carefully, "our scans show that the ship's hull is extremely thick. Our weapons might not be able to penetrate it easily. Then we will use plasma cutters to make our own entrance. The humans built their ships well, but they are all dead now. Their technology belongs to the victors." Thexval chose 12 of his best warriors for the boarding party. They were all experienced fighters who had conquered many worlds. They carried plasma weapons and cutting tools. Their armor was thick and strong, designed to protect them in the vacuum of space. As the boarding shuttle approached the human ship, the warriors could see more details of its construction. The hull was covered with geometric patterns that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. The surface was perfectly smooth, without any of the usual markings that time and space should have left. "The hull is definitely absorbing our scans," reported the shuttle pilot. "I cannot get clear readings of the interior structure." "It does not matter," said squad leader Vectran. "We will cut our way in and explore manually." The shuttle attached itself to the human ship's hull with magnetic clamps. The boarding party put on their helmets and checked their equipment. Through the shuttle's windows, they could see the strange patterns on the ship's surface up close. The design seemed almost alive, pulsing gently with a rhythm like a slow heartbeat. "Begin cutting," ordered Vectron. The plasma cutters fired thin beams of superheated energy at the hull. The warriors expected the metal to melt and burn away quickly. Instead, the beams seemed to sink into the surface like water being absorbed by sand. It took much longer than expected to cut through. "This hull material is incredibly advanced," muttered one of the warriors. "No wonder the humans were so difficult to defeat." Finally, the cutters broke through. A section of the hull fell away, revealing darkness beyond. The boarding party activated their lights and prepared to enter the mysterious human ship. "Remember," Vecatron told his warriors, "we are the first beings to set foot on this vessel in over 200 years. Stay alert and report everything you see." One by one, the Velkari warriors floated through the hole they had cut in the hull. Their lights pierced the darkness inside, revealing a large chamber with smooth walls and a high ceiling. The air was thin but breathable. Emergency lighting flickered on as they moved, creating pools of dim blue light. The warriors spread out to explore the chamber. Everything was clean and undamaged, as if the ship had been abandoned only yesterday. There were no signs of battle or emergency evacuation. It was as if the crew had simply vanished. "This is impossible," whispered one of the warriors. "How can everything be so perfectly preserved?" Vectron activated his communicator. "Commander Thexavel, we have successfully entered the human vessel. The interior appears to be in perfect condition. We are beginning our exploration now." "Understood," came the reply. Proceed with caution and report your findings. The warriors moved deeper into the ship, their footsteps echoing in the silent corridors. Behind them, the hull began to slowly seal itself, as if the ship was healing from their intrusion. None of them noticed the faint blue glow that began to spread along the walls they had passed. The Valkyrie boarding party moved through the human ship like hunters in an unknown forest. Their weapons were ready, and their sensors swept every corner for danger. Squad leader Vectron led the way, his 4 eyes scanning the strange corridors. Ahead, the ship was much larger inside than it appeared from outside. The corridors were wide enough for 10 warriors to walk side by side. The walls were covered with panels made of some kind of crystal material. They glowed softly with blue light, creating patterns that seemed to flow like water. "These walls are not normal metal," observed warrior Kexthor. He ran his hand along one of the crystal panels. "They feel warm, almost alive." "Stay focused," Vectran ordered. "We are here to gather information, not to touch everything we see." The warriors continued deeper into the ship. Their boots made no sound on the smooth floor. The air was clean and fresh, with no smell of age or decay. It was as if the ship had been sealed in time, waiting for someone to find it. Behind them, unknown to the Valkyrie, the hole they had cut in the hull was slowly closing. The strange hull material flowed like thick liquid, filling the gap they had made. Within minutes, there was no sign that the ship had ever been damaged. "Commander," Vectran spoke into his communicator. "We have been exploring for 30 minutes. The ship appears to be much larger than our scans indicated. The corridors go on for kilometers." From his flagship, Thexval responded. "What have you found so far?" "Empty corridors and strange technology. The walls seem to be made of some kind of living crystal. They respond to our presence by lighting up. But we have found no crew members. No bodies, nothing to indicate what happened to the humans." "Keep searching. There must be something valuable on this ship." The boarding party reached a junction where the corridor split into 3 directions. Each path disappeared into darkness. Beyond their lights, strange symbols were carved into the walls at the junction, glowing with the same blue light as the crystal panels. "Can anyone read these symbols?" Vectron asked. "They are human writing," said warrior Dexmira, who had studied human languages during the war. "But this script is different from what we saw on other human ships. More advanced, more artistic." "What do they say?" Dexmira studied the symbols carefully. "I can only understand parts of it. Something about eternal watch and sleeping guardians. The rest is too complex for me to translate." Vectran made a decision. "We will split into 3 teams. Explore each corridor for 1 hour, then return here. Stay in contact at all times." The warriors divided into groups and moved down the different paths. Each team found more of the same: endless corridors, crystal panels, and strange technology they could not understand. The ship seemed to go on forever, with level after level of empty passages and silent chambers. As they explored, the crystal panels began to glow brighter. The patterns flowing across the walls became more complex, like thoughts moving through a giant brain. The ship was waking up, responding to the presence of intruders for the first time in centuries. Deep in the ship's core, massive computers began to activate. They had been sleeping for over 200 years, waiting for this moment. Ancient programs started running, checking systems and analyzing the new arrivals. The ship's artificial intelligence slowly opened its digital eyes. "Team 2 to squad leader," came a voice over the communicator. "We have found something important." "Report," Vectran responded. "A large chamber with many machines. They appear to be some kind of manufacturing equipment, very advanced. The technology is unlike anything we have seen before." "Team 3 to squad leader," another voice called. "We have found what appears to be a control center, many screens and computer terminals. They are all dark, but some are starting to light up as we watch." Vectran felt a chill run through his body. "Starting to light up? You mean the ship is activating?" "It appears so, sir. The computers seem to be responding to our presence." On his flagship, Commander Thexval listened to the reports with growing concern. He had expected to find a dead ship full of old technology. Instead, his warriors had discovered something that was still alive, still functioning after centuries of silence. "All teams, return to the junction immediately," Vectron ordered. "Something is happening." As the warriors regrouped, they could see that the entire ship was changing. The crystal panels now pulsed with bright light. The air hummed with energy. Systems that had been dormant for generations were coming back to life. "Sir," called Dexmira, "look at the symbols." The carved writing on the walls was glowing much brighter now. New symbols appeared beside the old ones, creating messages that scrolled across the crystal surfaces like moving text. "Can you read them now?" Vectran asked. "Some of them. They say, 'Intruders detected, security protocols activated, awakening sequence initiated.' And something else. 'The sleepers must wake. The vigil begins again.'" A low sound began to echo through the corridors. It was like a heartbeat, but much slower and deeper. The whole ship seemed to be breathing, drawing power from somewhere deep in its core. "Team leader to commander," Vectron spoke urgently into his communicator. "The ship is definitely activating. We may have triggered some kind of automatic system." "Can you shut it down?" Thexval asked. "Unknown, sir. We don't understand their technology well enough to know what we're dealing with." The sound of machinery starting up echoed from deeper in the ship. Lights appeared in corridors that had been dark moments before. The air began to move as ventilation systems activated. "Squad leader," one of the warriors called out. "The way we came in, I can't find it anymore." Vectran turned to look back. Down the corridor. The warrior was right. The passage they had used to enter the ship was gone. The walls showed no sign of damage or repair. It was as if they had never cut a hole at all. "Impossible," Vectran muttered. "How can a hole in the hull just disappear?" "Sir," Dexmira said quietly, "I don't think this is a normal ship. The technology here is far beyond what the humans had during the war. This ship is something else. Something special." The heartbeat sound grew louder. New lights appeared along the walls, creating paths that led deeper into the ship. The crystal panels showed moving images now, star charts, ship schematics, and faces of humans the warriors had never seen. "Commander," Vectran reported, "the ship appears to be guiding us somewhere. The lights are showing us a path to follow." "Do not follow it," Thexval ordered immediately. "Find another way out. Return to your shuttle at once." "Sir, we cannot find our shuttle. The corridor we used to enter has somehow sealed itself. We are trapped inside." On the bridge of his flagship, Thexval felt fear for the first time in many years. His warriors were trapped inside an alien ship that was coming to life around them. This was not what he had expected when they decided to explore the derelict vessel. "Keep searching for an exit," he ordered. "There must be another way out." But deep inside the human ship, ancient systems continued to activate. The artificial intelligence that controlled the vessel had finished its analysis of the intruders. It knew what species they belonged to. It knew what they had done to humanity. And now, after 2 centuries of waiting, it was time to wake the sleepers. In the darkness of the ship's deepest levels, cryogenic pods began their warming cycles. Frozen bodies started to stir. Hearts that had not beaten for over 200 years began to pump blood again. The guardians of humanity were about to return to life. The Velkari warriors did not know it yet, but they had just made the biggest mistake in their species' history. They had awakened something that was supposed to stay asleep forever. Something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. The hunt was about to begin, but this time, the Velkari would be the prey. Deep within the human ship, machines that had been silent for centuries began to hum with power. The Velkari boarding party stood at the corridor junction, watching as lights spread through the vessel like blood flowing through veins. The crystal panels on the walls pulsed faster now, creating patterns that looked almost like thoughts. Squad leader Vectron tried his communicator again. "Commander, the ship's systems are activating all around us. We need immediate extraction." Static filled. The channel before Thexaval's voice came through, broken and unclear. "Your signal. Weak. Interference from the ship. Find way out." "The ship is blocking our communications," observed Warrior Dex Mira. "It doesn't want us to contact the outside." A new sound joined the deep heartbeat echoing through the corridors. It was the whisper of air moving through vents, the soft hum of gravity generators coming online, and the distant vibration of massive engines warming up after centuries of sleep. "Look," pointed Warrior Kexthor. "The symbols are changing. Again." The glowing text on the walls shifted and flowed like water. New messages appeared in the human script, scrolling past too quickly for them to read. But some words were clear enough for Dex Mira to understand. "Threat assessment in progress," she translated slowly. "Biological analysis complete. Species identified Velkari Empire. Threat level extreme, initiating Omega Protocol." "What is Omega Protocol?" Vectran asked. Before anyone could answer, the floor beneath their feet began to vibrate. The vibration was rhythmic, like a giant machine starting up after a long rest. Somewhere far below them, systems that required enormous amounts of power were coming online. The crystal panel suddenly showed new images. Star maps appeared, showing the locations of planets and space stations throughout the galaxy. Red markers indicated Velkari worlds and fleets. Green markers showed empty space where human colonies used to exist. "The ship knows about our empire," Dex Mira whispered. "It has been watching, gathering information while we thought it was dead." A section of the wall near them became transparent, revealing a vast chamber beyond. The warriors pressed against the crystal surface to look inside. What they saw made their blood run cold. The chamber was filled with thousands of cylindrical pods, arranged in perfect rows. Each pod was about the size of a warrior, and they were all connected to a massive network of tubes and cables. Soft blue light emanated from within many of the pods, indicating that something was alive inside them. "Cryogenic storage," Vectron said quietly. "The humans, some of them are still alive." As they watched, automated systems began moving through the chamber. Robotic arms checked each pod, running diagnostics and adjusting settings. The pods that glowed with blue light started to pulse brighter, like hearts beating faster. "How many humans are in there?" asked Kexathor. Dexmira tried to count the visible pods, but there were too many. "Hundreds, maybe thousands. This is just one chamber. There could be more throughout the ship." The heartbeat sound grew louder, and now they could feel it in their chests. It was not just a sound anymore, but a physical force that made their organs vibrate. The ship was becoming truly alive, powered by technology beyond their understanding. New text appeared on the crystal panels, this time moving slowly enough for Dexmira to read. "Revival sequence initiated. Estimated time to full awakening, 47 minutes. Defensive systems, online. Weapon systems charging. Welcome home, Guardians." "Guardians?" Vectran repeated. "These humans are some kind of guardians?" The transparent wall suddenly became opaque again, blocking their view of the chamber. But now they could hear new sounds from beyond. The hiss of gas being released, the whir of machinery, and something else, something that sounded like breathing. "Squad leader," one of the warriors called from down a corridor. "The lights are showing us a path again. They want us to follow them somewhere." Vectran looked at the trail of lights that had appeared on the floor. They led away from the junction, deeper into the ship. The message was clear. The ship wanted them to go somewhere specific. "We don't have much choice," he decided. "We can't find our way out, and standing here won't help us. Follow the lights, but stay alert. This could be a trap." The boarding party moved carefully along the lighted path. The corridors they passed through were different now. The walls showed moving. Images of space battles, of human ships fighting against fleets they recognized as their own ancestors. The ship was showing them the history of the war, the conflict that had supposedly ended with humanity's extinction. They passed chambers filled with strange equipment, massive computers that hummed with power, manufacturing systems that built components for unknown devices, and weapons unlike anything in Velkari arsenals. Everything was perfectly maintained, as if the ship had been actively caring for itself during its long sleep. "This technology is impossible," muttered Dexmira. "The humans we fought were advanced, but not like this. This ship is beyond anything we encountered during the war." The path led them to a large circular chamber with a high domed ceiling. In the center of the room stood a platform surrounded by screens and control panels. As they entered, the screens came to life, showing readouts and displays in human script. "This appears to be some kind of command center," Vectran observed. The largest screen showed a countdown timer: 41:33, 41:32, 41:31. 41 minutes until what?" asked Kexthor. Their answer came from the speakers hidden in the walls. A voice spoke in clear, unaccented Velkari. It was calm and emotionless, like a computer, but with an underlying tone that suggested vast intelligence. "Unknown biological entities detected within secure areas. Species identification, Velkari Empire military forces. Threat assessment, maximum. You have invaded a human vessel of strategic importance. Explain your presence immediately." The warriors looked around frantically, trying to find the source of the voice. Their weapons were useless against something they could not see or touch. "I am Squad Leader Vectran of the Velkari Imperial Fleet," he announced. "We are investigating this derelict vessel as part of our exploration duties. We mean no harm." "Lie detected," the voice responded immediately. "Velkari Empire responsible for genocide of human civilian populations." Destruction of 847 human colonies. Death toll, 12.7 billion humans. Your species is classified as an extinction-level threat to humanity. The screens around them began showing images that made the warriors step back in horror. Battle footage from the war, but not from their perspective. These were human recordings, showing Valkyrie fleets destroying cities, orbital bombardments turning planets into lifeless rocks, and refugee ships being hunted down and destroyed. Your people believed they had achieved total victory, the voice continued. They were incorrect. Humanity prepared for this possibility. This vessel and others like it were designed to ensure our species' survival and eventual return. Others like it? Vectran asked. Classified information. You will not live long enough for that knowledge to be relevant. The countdown timer jumped forward. 35.17, 35.16, 35.15. What happens when the timer reaches 0? Dexmira asked. The Guardians complete their awakening process. Humanity's final phase begins. Your empire's crimes will be answered. Around them, the ship continued to come alive. New systems activated every few minutes, adding their voices to the growing symphony of mechanical sounds. The air itself seemed to pulse with energy, and the warriors could feel their skin tingling from electromagnetic fields. Commander Thexval needs to know about this, Vectron said quietly to his team. This is not a derelict ship. This is something far more dangerous. Communications are being jammed, the voice informed them, clearly having heard every word. Your fleet cannot assist you. They cannot escape. This encounter was inevitable the moment your species chose to commit genocide. The screens showed new images, technical schematics of weapons and ships that defied their understanding of physics, manufacturing data for technologies that could reshape matter at the molecular level, strategic plans for campaigns across the galaxy. Impossible, breathed Dexmira. How can the humans have technology like this? We defeated them completely. You defeated one phase of human civilization, the voice corrected. We are the next phase. We are what humanity becomes when faced with extinction. We are what emerges when survival requires evolution beyond your comprehension. The countdown continued. 2944, 2943, 2942. In the depths of the ship, the first cryogenic pod completed its revival cycle. A human hand pressed against the inside of the transparent cover, and eyes opened for the first time in over 200 years. The Valkyrie boarding party stood frozen in the command chamber as the ship's artificial voice continued its countdown. Around them, screens displayed information that challenged everything they thought they knew about human capabilities. The timer showed 27:15 and falling. We need to find a way off this ship, Vectran whispered to his warriors. If what this computer says is true, we are in extreme danger. Before anyone could respond, a new sound echoed through the corridors. It was different from the mechanical humming they had heard before. This sound was organic, biological, the sound of something breathing. First pod revival complete, announced the ship's voice. Guardian awakening successful, vital signs stable, cognitive function restored, beginning second wave revival sequence. Voice screens around them changed to show the cryogenic chamber they had seen earlier. But now, one of the glowing pods was open. A figure sat on the edge of the pod, breathing slowly and moving stiff limbs. Even from the distant camera view, they could see it was unmistakably human. Impossible, breathed warrior Dexmira. Humans cannot survive that long in cryogenic sleep. Their technology was not advanced enough. "You continue to underestimate human ingenuity," the ship's voice replied. "Your species made this error during the war. You are making it again now." More pods began their opening sequences. The warriors watched in growing fear as figures emerged from their centuries-long sleep. These were not the weak, desperate humans they remembered from the final battles of the war. These humans moved with purpose and confidence, as if awakening. From cryogenic sleep was routine for them. "How many humans are on this ship?" Kexthor asked. "Information classified. Sufficient to complete our mission parameters." A new voice spoke over the ship's communication system. This one was definitely human, male, with an accent the warriors did not recognize. "Central AI, this is Captain Hyunwoo Kim. I am awake and functional. Status report." "Welcome back, Captain," the ship's AI responded. "Current situation. Velkari military forces have breached the hull and are currently contained in Command Chamber 7. They have been classified as extreme threats under the Omega Protocol." "Understood. How long have we been asleep?" 237 years, 4 months, 16 days. There was a long pause before the human captain spoke again. His voice was sad but not surprised. Then the worst-case scenario came true. "How many human colonies survived?" "None confirmed. All major population centers were destroyed. Estimated human survivors galaxy-wide. Fewer than 10,000, scattered and in hiding." Another pause. "And Earth?" "Orbital bombardment completed. 193 years ago. Surface uninhabitable. No survivors detected." The Velkari warriors looked at each other with growing unease. They were listening to a conversation between the last survivors of a species their empire had tried to exterminate. The guilt was heavy, but their fear was stronger. "Captain," the AI continued, "the intruders appear to be a standard military reconnaissance team. 12 individuals, armed with conventional plasma weapons. Their ship is approximately 1 kilometer away." "Their ship?" The captain's voice became sharp with interest. "Show me." The screens in the command chamber changed to display external views of space. The Velkari could see their own fleet floating nearby, 3 heavy cruisers and 5 escort vessels. From this perspective, their ships looked small and fragile compared to the massive human vessel. Analysis of their fleet composition and technology level indicates they are representative of current Velkari military capabilities, the AI reported. Their weapons and defenses are approximately 40% more advanced than during our last active period, but still primitive compared to our current systems. Correct, Captain. Their technology represents a predictable evolutionary path. Ours represents a revolutionary leap. Another human voice joined the conversation, female this time. Hyunwoo, this is Mira. I'm fully awake now. The science systems are coming online. The nanite factories are ready for activation. Dr. Yoon, the captain acknowledged. Good to have you back. Begin preliminary manufacturing protocols. We may need new ships soon. Already started. The asteroid belt in this system has sufficient raw materials for a moderate fleet. The Velkari warriors exchanged alarmed glances. Dr. Mira Yoon was speaking, casually about building a fleet from asteroids. Such technology was beyond anything they had ever encountered. A third human voice appeared on the channel, also male but with a harder edge. Captain, this is Tae Min. Security is fully operational. What are our orders regarding the intruders? Lieutenant Colonel Park, the captain replied. Maintain containment for now. I want to speak with them first. The screens in the command chamber changed again. Now they showed the interior of what appeared to be the ship's main bridge. 3 humans stood at various control stations, fully dressed in uniforms the warriors did not recognize. These were the voices they had been hearing. Captain Hyun Woo. Kim was a tall man with short black hair and calm, intelligent eyes. Dr. Mira Yoon was smaller, with longer hair tied back and hands that moved quickly over her control panels. Lieutenant Colonel Taemin Park was broad-shouldered and moved like a predator, his eyes constantly scanning for threats. "Velkari intruders," Captain Kim's voice came clearly through the speakers. "I am Captain Kim of the UES Eternal Vigil. You are trespassing on a human military vessel. Explain your presence here." Vectran stepped forward, trying to project confidence he did not feel. "I am Squad Leader Vectran. We found your ship drifting dead in space. We are conducting a standard salvage investigation." "Salvage?" Dr. Yoon's voice carried a note of dark amusement. "You mean looting? Taking technology from the people you murdered?" "We did not murder anyone," Vectran protested. "The war ended before I was born. We are explorers, not killers." "You serve the empire that committed genocide against our species," Lieutenant Colonel Park said coldly. "That makes you complicit in the crime." Captain Kim raised his hand for silence. "Squad Leader, your people believed they had eliminated humanity from the galaxy, but you were wrong. We survived, we prepared, and now we have returned." The timer on the screen showed 1833 and continued falling. "What happens when that countdown reaches 0? Vectron asked. "The full awakening protocol completes," Captain Kim explained. "All Guardians will be active. All systems will be online. The ship will be ready for its primary mission, which is to ensure that humanity never faces extinction again, to make certain that no species can do to us what yours did, to restore the balance of power in this galaxy." A 4th human voice joined the conversation, female with a technical tone. "Captain, this is Nae Young. Engineering reports all systems green. The quantum drives are spooled and ready. The nanite swarms are deployed and beginning resource collection." "Thank you, Engineer Lee. Begin construction of the escort vessels. Standard Guardian class configuration. Estimated completion time for the first squadron, 6 hours. 6 hours to build an entire squadron of ships. The Velkari warriors could barely comprehend such capabilities. Their most advanced shipyards required months to build a single vessel." "This is impossible," Dexmira said quietly. "No species has this level of technology. Your species spent 2 centuries congratulating yourselves on your victory," Dr. Yoon replied, having heard the comment. "We spent those same centuries preparing for this day. We knew you would find us eventually. We made sure we would be ready." Goodbye. Screens showed new images. The exterior of the ship, where clouds of tiny machines were spreading out into space. The nanites moved toward nearby asteroids, beginning the process of breaking them down into component materials. It was technology that bordered on magic. "Squad Leader," Captain Kim said formally, "I am going to offer you a choice. You can contact your fleet and order them to surrender peacefully. They will be detained but not harmed. Or you can refuse, and we will demonstrate why humanity is no longer the weak prey species your empire remembers." "I cannot make that decision," Vectron replied. "I do not have the authority." "Then we will make the decision for you." The countdown timer jumped. Forward again, 12:47, 12:46, 12:45. In space around the ship, the nanite clouds had reached the first asteroids. The rocks began to dissolve, their matter being reorganized into new forms. The process was slow but unstoppable, like watching mountains being rebuilt molecule by molecule. More pods throughout the ship completed their revival cycles. The corridors that had been empty for centuries began to fill with the sounds of human voices and footsteps. The guardians of humanity were awakening after their long sleep, and they had work to do. The doors to the command chamber opened with a soft whisper of moving air. The Velkhari warriors raised their weapons instinctively, but froze when they saw who entered. 3 humans walked into the room with calm confidence, showing no fear of the armed aliens who had invaded their ship. Captain Hyunwoo Kim led the group, followed by Dr. Mira Yoon and Lieutenant Colonel Taemin Park. They wore uniforms of deep blue with silver trim, made from materials that seemed to shift slightly in the light. Their movements were smooth and precise, like people who had trained together for many years. "Lower your weapons," Captain Kim said quietly. "You are guests on my ship now, whether you came by invitation or not." The Velkhari warriors looked to squad leader Vectron for orders. He stared at the humans for a long moment, then slowly lowered his plasma rifle. His warriors reluctantly followed his example. "You are making a mistake," Vectron said. "My fleet will come looking for us. When they find us missing, they will attack your ship." "No," Dr. Yoon replied, checking a small device in her hand. "They will not. Our defensive systems are now fully active. Your fleet cannot detect this vessel anymore. To their sensors, we have simply vanished." Lieutenant Colonel Park stepped closer to the warriors, studying them with professional interest. Standard Velkhari military equipment, plasma weapons, powered armor, emergency life support, very predictable. Your tactical doctrine has not evolved much since the war. "How would you know our tactical doctrine?" Dex Mira asked. "You have been asleep for over 200 years. "We have not been entirely asleep," Captain Kim explained. "This ship's AI has been monitoring galactic communications and gathering intelligence throughout our hibernation. We know about every major battle your empire has fought. We know your strengths and your weaknesses." The captain moved to one of the control panels and activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air above them, star charts, ship designs, battle reports, and intelligence files. All of it detailed information about the Velkhari Empire and its military capabilities. "We know that your empire controls 437 star systems," Dr. Yoon continued. "We know that your total fleet strength is approximately 12,000 combat vessels. We know the locations of your major shipyards, your supply lines, and your command centers." "Impossible," breathed Kexthor. "That information is classified at the highest levels. Your encryption methods are too centuries old," Lieutenant Colonel Park said with a slight smile. "Our AI cracked them decades ago. We have been reading your most secret communications for 50 years. Captain Kim gestured to the countdown timer, which now showed 09:22. "In 9 minutes, this ship will complete its awakening protocol. When that happens, we will contact the other Guardian vessels scattered throughout the galaxy. The reunion of humanity will begin." "Other vessels?" Vectron asked with growing dread. "Did you think we would put all our hope in a single ship?" Dr. Yoon asked. "We built 47 vessels like this one. Each carries a full crew in cryogenic sleep, complete manufacturing capabilities, and enough genetic material to restore our entire species." The holographic display changed to show a galaxy map. Green dots appeared in seemingly empty space, scattered across hundreds of star systems. Each dot represented a Guardian ship, waiting in the darkness for the signal to awaken. 47 ships, whispered Dex Mira. How did your species manage to build so many without us knowing? We began construction immediately after the first human colonies were attacked, Captain Kim explained. We knew the war was going badly. We knew our conventional fleets could not match yours. So we prepared for the worst-case scenario. The Guardian program was our insurance policy, Dr. Yoon added. If humanity faced extinction, we would ensure that enough survived to rebuild. Not just survive, but return stronger than before. Lieutenant Colonel Park moved to another control panel and brought up new images. These showed manufacturing facilities, hidden in asteroid belts, secret research stations in nebulae, and construction yards in dead star systems. Your empire was very thorough in hunting down human populations, he said. But you focused on planets and established colonies. You ignored the empty spaces between stars, the places where nothing appeared to exist. That is where we built the Guardian fleet, Captain Kim continued. In the voids where your sensors could not find us. Each ship took 20 years to complete. We spared no expense, used our most advanced technology, and selected our best people for the cruise. The countdown timer continued its relentless progress. 0647, 0646, 0645. What will you do when the timer reaches 0? Vectron asked. We will send the activation signal to all Guardian vessels, Dr. Yoon replied. 47 ships will begin their own awakening protocols. Within 24 hours, humanity will have a functioning fleet again. And then, Captain Kim's expression grew serious. Then we will evaluate the current state of the galaxy. We will determine which species pose a threat to human survival, and we will take appropriate action. You mean revenge, Kexthor said bluntly. We mean justice, Lieutenant Colonel Park corrected. Your empire committed genocide against 12 billion innocent people. That crime cannot go unanswered. The holographic display changed again, showing recordings from the war. But these were not battle footage. These were images of civilian evacuation ships being destroyed, of refugee camps being bombed, of entire families being executed. The warriors had never seen these records before. Your leaders told you that humans were dangerous, Dr. Yoon said quietly. They said we were a threat that had to be eliminated. But most of these victims were farmers, teachers, children. They had no weapons, no military value. They were killed simply because they were human. We did not know, Dexmira said, staring at the horrific images. We were told it was a military conflict. Ignorance is not innocence, Captain Kim replied. Your empire built its prosperity on our graves. Every world you conquered, every resource you claimed, every life you improved came at the cost of human blood. The timer showed 04:15 and falling. There is something you need to understand, Dr. Yoon said, her voice becoming colder. The humans your empire fought were not our best. They were not our strongest or our smartest. They were just the ones who happened to live in the outer colonies when your expansion began. The Guardian crews represent something different, Lieutenant Colonel Park added. We are not refugees or desperate survivors. We are the elite of our species. The best scientists, the finest engineers, the most skilled warriors. We were chosen specifically for this mission. Captain Kim activated another display, showing technical specifications that made the Velkari warriors' heads spin. Energy weapons that could crack planets, propulsion systems that could cross the galaxy in weeks, defensive shields that could withstand the explosion of stars. The technology gap between your empire and the old human colonies was significant, he explained. The technology gap between your empire and the Guardian fleet is insurmountable. This ship alone could destroy your entire fleet, Dr. Yoon stated matter-of-factly. Not through superior numbers or tactics, but through technology you cannot even comprehend. We are not fighting with the same weapons anymore. The countdown timer hit Aero 2:30. Squad leader, Captain Kim said formally, I am going to give you one chance to contact your fleet commander. Tell him to withdraw his ships immediately and return to Velkari space. Explain that humanity has returned and that we wish to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. And if he refuses, then he will learn why the eternal vigil is called humanity's final weapon. Vectron looked at his warriors, then at the humans who stood calmly before them. These people showed no fear, no doubt, no uncertainty. They spoke of destroying fleets and toppling empires as casually as discussing the weather. I will try to contact him, he said finally. But Commander Thexval is a proud warrior. He will not retreat without a fight. Then he will die without a fight, Lieutenant Colonel Park said simply, and his death will serve as a message to the rest of your empire. The timer showed 01:45, 1:44, 1:43. In space around the ship, the nanite clouds had begun their work. The first skeletal frameworks of new vessels were taking shape, growing from the processed material of destroyed asteroids. Soon the eternal vigil would not be alone in the darkness. The countdown timer reached 0 with a soft chime that echoed through the command chamber. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the ship's AI spoke with what almost sounded like satisfaction. Awakening protocol complete. All Guardian systems online. Full operational capability achieved. Welcome to the new age of humanity. Around them, the command chamber transformed. Holographic displays filled the air, showing data streams from across the galaxy. Star charts updated in real time. Communications networks activated and sensor arrays that had been dormant for centuries began their sweeps of nearby space. Show them, Captain Kim said quietly to Dr. Yoon. Dr. Yoon moved to a control panel and began entering commands. The central holographic display changed to show a cutaway view of the eternal vigil itself. The Velkari warriors gasped as they saw the true scale of the vessel for the first time. The ship was not just large, it was vast beyond their comprehension. What they had seen from their shuttles was only the tip of an iceberg. The vessel extended for kilometers in every direction, with sections that folded through dimensions they could not perceive. It was not just a ship. It was a floating city, a mobile civilization. The Eternal Vigil is not a warship in the traditional sense, Dr. Yoon explained. It is a Genesis vessel, a seed from which an entire civilization can grow. The display zoomed in to show different sections of the ship. Manufacturing bays that could build anything from tools to starships. Biological laboratories containing the genetic patterns of every species Earth had ever known. Cultural archives with the complete history, art, and knowledge of humanity. We carry within us everything needed to rebuild human civilization from nothing, Captain Kim continued. Not just the people, but the entire ecosystem that supported us. Plants, animals, microorganisms, everything that makes a world truly alive. But why show us this? Vectron asked. Why reveal your capabilities? To enemies? Lieutenant Colonel Park answered grimly. Because you need to understand what you have awakened. This is not just a military threat. This is the rebirth of an entire species. A species that your empire tried to murder. Engineer Na Young Lee's voice came over the communication system. Captain, external sensors are now fully active. I have comprehensive scans of the Velkari fleet. Should I share the analysis? Please do, Na-Young. New holographic displays appeared, showing detailed schematics of every Velkari ship in the nearby fleet. The analysis was incredibly thorough, down to the molecular composition of their hull armor and the efficiency ratings of their engines. Their most advanced vessel has armor approximately 37%, as effective as our basic defensive plating, Engineer Lee reported. Their primary weapons would require sustained bombardment of 14 hours and 23 minutes to penetrate our outer shields. And our weapons versus their defenses? Dr. Yoon asked. Conservative estimate. Complete fleet destruction in 4 minutes and 12 seconds. The Velkari warriors looked at each other in shock. Their empire's most powerful fleet could be destroyed in 4 minutes by a single human vessel? Impossible, Dex Mira whispered. No single ship could have that much firepower. You are thinking like warriors from 2 centuries ago, Captain. Kim explained patiently. You see weapons as things that shoot projectiles or energy beams. Our weapons work differently. The holographic display changed to show molecular diagrams and quantum equations that hurt the warriors' eyes to look at. The mathematics involved were beyond their education level. We can alter the fundamental forces that hold matter together, Dr. Yoon continued. We can make your ship's hull forget how to be solid. We can convince your reactor that it should explode instead of containing its fusion reaction. We can persuade your computer systems that they are actually flowers and should grow leaves instead of processing data. That is not possible, Kexthor protested. Matter does not work that way. Matter works exactly the way we tell it to, Engineer Lee's voice replied. 200 years of secret research tends to produce remarkable breakthroughs. Captain Kim gestured, and the display showed images of human research stations hidden throughout the galaxy. Scientists working in laboratories built inside asteroids, conducting experiments that defied conventional physics. Technologies that bent reality itself to human will. While your empire was celebrating its victory and expanding its territory, we were pushing the boundaries of science itself, he explained. We had one goal: ensure that humanity could never be defeated again. The nanite clouds you saw earlier are just the beginning, Dr. Yoon added. They can build ships, yes, but they can also terraform planets, construct habitats, even create artificial stars if we need them. Given enough time and resources, we can reshape entire solar systems. The implications hit Vectron like a physical blow. You could build your own empire, countless worlds, unlimited fleets. We could, Lieutenant Colonel Park agreed. But we do not want an empire. We want justice. The ship's AI interrupted with a new announcement. Guardian Vessels 1 through 46 have acknowledged the awakening signal. Revival protocols initiated across all units. Estimated time to full fleet operational status: 18 hours. 47 ships, Vectron said quietly. Each with these capabilities? Each specialized for different tasks, Captain Kim confirmed. Some are focused on military operations, others on colonization and terraforming. Some carry the genetic material to restore entire ecosystems, while others contain our greatest scientists and engineers. Together, we represent the complete potential of human civilization, Dr. Yoon explained. Not just what we were, but what we could become. 2 centuries of preparation have given us capabilities that surpass our wildest dreams from before the war. Engineer Lee's voice returned with an update. Captain, the first escort squadron is now 50% complete. The destroyers should be operational within 2 hours. Destroyers? Dexmira asked. Small vessels by our standards, Lieutenant Colonel Park replied. Only 800 meters long, but each one carries enough firepower to sterilize a planet's surface in 30 minutes. The holographic display showed the construction process happening outside the ship. The nanite clouds had created a vast manufacturing complex in space, using the material from dozens of asteroids. Skeletal frameworks of new ships were growing like trees, their hulls forming from streams of liquid metal that hardened into armor. Stronger than diamond. "This is what your empire faces now," Captain Kim said solemnly. "Not a desperate refugee fleet running for their lives. Not a dying civilization making its last stand. This is humanity reborn, humanity transformed, humanity armed with 2 centuries of focused development and an absolute determination to never be victims again." He activated his communicator. "Nayang, open a channel to the Velkari fleet. Full spectrum broadcast." "Channel open, Captain." Captain Kim looked directly at Vectran. "Squad leader, I want you to listen to what I tell your commander. I want you to remember every word." The captain's voice became formal and cold as he addressed the Velkari fleet. "Commander Thexaval, this is Captain Hyunwoo Kim of the United Earth ship Eternal Vigil. Your boarding party is safe and unharmed, but they are now witnesses to humanity's return." Static-filled responses came back from the Velkari ships, but Captain Kim continued without waiting for a reply. "Your empire committed genocide against the human species. You destroyed our worlds, murdered our people, and believed you had achieved total victory. You were wrong. We survived. We prepared. We evolved. And now we have returned to collect the debt your empire owes us." The holographic displays around them showed sensor readings from space. The Velkari fleet was moving into attack formation, their weapons charging for battle. "You have 1 hour to withdraw your forces and return to Velkari space," Captain Kim continued. "Use that time to contact your government. Tell them that humanity lives. Tell them that we remember what they did to us. Tell them that the age of Velkari expansion is over." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "If you choose to fight instead of withdraw, you will be destroyed. Not just your fleet, but every Velkari military force in this sector. Your empire will learn that some crimes cannot be committed without consequences." Captain Kim closed the channel and turned back to the Velkari warriors. "Squad leader, I suggest you convince your commander to make the wise choice. The alternative will be unpleasant for everyone involved." Outside the ship, the first of the New Guardian destroyers completed its construction and powered up its engines. Its weapons came online with a hum that could be felt through the hull of the Eternal Vigil. Humanity's final weapon was no longer sleeping. Commander Thexaval stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the holographic display that showed the massive human vessel. What had appeared to be a simple derelict ship was now revealing its true nature. Weapons ports were opening along, its hull like eyes awakening from sleep. Energy readings spiked beyond anything his sensors could properly measure. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we are receiving massive data transmissions from the human ship. They appear to be quantum-entangled signals going to multiple destinations throughout the galaxy." "Show me the transmission paths," Thexval ordered. The bridge's main display changed to show a galaxy map. Streams of light appeared, connecting the human ship to dozens of points scattered across known space. Each stream represented a quantum communication link that somehow bypassed normal space-time limitations. "The signals are reaching their destinations instantaneously," his science officer reported with disbelief. That should be impossible according to our understanding of physics. Thexval felt a cold dread settling in his stomach. How many destinations? 46. Confirm signal endpoints, Commander. All in systems we believe to be empty or insignificant. On the human ship, Captain Kim watched similar displays with satisfaction. Each green light that appeared on their map represented another Guardian, vessel receiving the awakening signal and beginning its own revival protocol. Guardian 7 confirms signal receipt, Dr. Yoon reported. Captain Chen's crew is beginning their wake-up sequence now. Guardian 15. Acknowledging, Engineer Lee added. Captain Silva reports successful nanite deployment in the Kepler sector. Guardian 23 coming online, Lieutenant Colonel Park announced. Captain Okafor's manufacturing systems are fully operational. One by one, the reports came in. Across the galaxy, human ships that had been hiding in the darkness for over 2 centuries were stirring to life. Each vessel began its own construction program, using local asteroids and space debris to build new fleets. Squad leader Vec Tran listened to the reports with growing horror. How many ships will you have when this is complete? Each Guardian vessel can construct a full squadron within 12 hours, Captain Kim replied. 47 ships, each building 12 escort vessels. That gives us 564 ships in the first wave. But that is just the beginning, Dr. Yoon added with a slight smile. Each escort vessel can construct its own support fleet. Within a week, we will have thousands of ships. Within a month, we will have tens of thousands. The holographic display showed the exponential growth pattern. Starting with 47 Guardian vessels, the human fleet would grow like a virus, spreading through the galaxy. Each new ship would build more ships, which would build more ships, limited only by available resources. Your nanite technology, Dex Mira said with sudden understanding. It is self-replicating. Correct, Engineer Lee's voice confirmed. Every Guardian vessel carries the complete manufacturing database for our entire technological civilization. Given enough raw materials, we can build anything we need. Lieutenant Colonel Park activated another display, showing construction progress throughout the galaxy. Guardian 12 has completed its first destroyer. Guardian 29 is beginning. Work on a heavy cruiser. Guardian 34 is constructing a mobile shipyard that will triple its production capacity. Commander Thexval watched his own tactical displays with increasing desperation. His fleet of 8 ships suddenly seemed pathetically small compared to what the humans were building. Even worse, his vessels were already outdated compared to human technology. Commander, his tactical officer reported, the human ship is launching smaller vessels. They appear to be growing. The display showed streams of nanites flowing from the eternal vigil like metallic blood. The tiny machines moved in perfect coordination, assembling themselves into ship hulls that expanded and solidified as more nanites joined them. Within minutes, completed vessels were taking position around the human mothership. Hull composition unknown, the science officer added. Energy signatures off the scale. These vessels are more advanced than anything in our databases. Thexval opened a communication channel to the human ship. Captain Kim, this is Commander Thexval. I demand the immediate release of my boarding party. Captain Kim's voice came, back calm and steady. Your warriors are safe, Commander. They are currently learning about the situation they have created by boarding our vessel. What situation? You are outnumbered and surrounded. Surrender now and we will treat you with honor. There was a pause before Captain Kim responded, and when he did, there was something that might have been amusement in his voice. Commander, I think you misunderstand who is surrounded here. The tactical display on Thexval's bridge suddenly lit up with new contacts. Dozens of small vessels were appearing around his fleet, having somehow approached without being detected. They were sleek and predatory, moving in patterns that defied his understanding of space combat tactics. "Where did they come from?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir," his sensor operator replied. "They were not there a moment ago. It is as if they materialized from nothing." "Stealth technology," his tactical officer concluded. "But their energy signatures are enormous. How can something generate that much power and still remain hidden?" On the eternal vigil, Dr. Yoon watched the Velkari fleet's confusion with professional interest. Their sensor technology is remarkably primitive. They cannot even detect our basic stealth systems. "Should we decloak the rest of the fleet?" Lieutenant Colonel Park asked. "Not yet," Captain Kim decided. "Let them think they only face what they can see." The truth was that humanity's new vessels used technology that operated on principles the Velkari had never imagined. Quantum phase shifters that could make ships exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Gravity manipulators that could bend space around them like a lens. Energy fields that could convince sensors that they were looking at empty space instead of warships. Guardian 43 reports first contact with local Velkari patrol ships, Dr. Yoon announced. "Captain Nakamura is requesting permission to begin demonstration protocols." "Denied," Captain Kim replied immediately. "All vessels are to maintain defensive postures only. We will not fire the first shot." "Sir," Engineer Lee's voice came over. The communicator. "I am detecting massive fleet movements throughout Velkari space. They appear to be mobilizing everything they have." The galactic display showed the truth of her words. Across the Velkari Empire, fleets were leaving their home, ports and converging on known Guardian positions. It was the largest military mobilization in their history. "How many ships are they sending?" Captain Kim asked. "Current count is approaching 8,000 vessels, sir. They are treating this as an existential threat to their empire." "Because it is," Lieutenant Colonel Park said grimly. "They know that if we succeed in rebuilding human civilization, their empire is finished." Vectran looked up at Captain Kim. "You said you wanted justice, not conquest, but you are preparing for war against our entire empire." "We are preparing to defend ourselves against your entire empire," Captain Kim corrected. "There is a difference. We did not mobilize those 8,000 ships. Your leaders did. We did not declare war. They did. The moment they decided to commit genocide against humanity." "But surely you can negotiate," Dexmira pleaded. "Some arrangement that avoids massive bloodshed." Dr. Yoon turned to look at her. "What would you negotiate? Should we forget that your empire murdered 12 billion innocent people? Should we pretend that your species can be trusted to honor agreements when you have already proven yourselves to be genocidal?" "The current Velkari leadership was not responsible for those crimes," Kexthor argued. "Most of them were not even born when the war ended. But they have spent their entire lives benefiting from those crimes," Lieutenant Colonel Park replied. "Every world your empire controls was stolen from someone else. Every resource you consume was taken by force. Your entire civilization is built on conquest and murder." Captain Kim raised his hand for silence. "The discussion is irrelevant now. Your commander has made his choice." On the main display, they could see the Velkari fleet moving into attack formation. Weapons were charging, shields were powering up, and targeting systems were locking onto human vessels. "Commander Thexval has 30 minutes left of the hour I gave him," Captain Kim announced. "If he chooses to fight, we will accommodate him." "Guardian fleets are reporting full readiness," Dr. Yoon added. "All vessels are in position and awaiting orders." How many ships do we have operational? Captain Kim asked. Current count: 2. 137 combat vessels across all Guardian groups, more coming online every minute. Engineer Lee's voice crackled over the communicator. Captain, the quantum manufacturing matrix is complete. If needed, we can now construct capital ships in real time during combat. Real-time construction? Vectron asked in disbelief. Nanite technology allows us to build ships as fast as we can think them into existence, Dr. Yoon explained. The only limitation is available matter to work with. She gestured to the asteroid, belt visible through the ship's windows. Half of it had already been consumed by the nanite swarms, converted into raw materials for the growing human fleet. By tomorrow, this entire system will be transformed into a massive shipyard. The hour was almost over. Commander Thek-Saval stood on his bridge, watching the tactical display with the grim knowledge that he faced an impossible choice. Retreat would mark him as a coward in the eyes of his empire, but attacking would likely mean the destruction of his entire fleet. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we are receiving urgent messages from High Command. They are ordering us to engage the human vessels and gather tactical data for the main fleet." Thek-Saval closed his 4 eyes and took a deep breath. His empire had made him a warrior, and warriors did not run from battle, no matter the odds. "All ships, prepare for combat. We will show these humans that the Velkari do not surrender to threats." On the Eternal Vigil, Captain Kim watched the Velkari fleet's final preparations with sadness rather than anger. "They have made their choice," he announced to his crew. "All Guardian vessels, you are authorized to engage. Tactical priority: disable rather than destroy when possible. We want survivors to carry our message back to their empire." "Understood, Captain," came the coordinated response from dozens of ships across the system. Dr. Yoon activated the ship's weapons systems with a heavy heart. Beginning engagement sequence, all crew to combat stations. The battle began not with the massive explosions and dramatic energy beams that the Velkari expected, but with something far more subtle and terrifying. The human ships simply changed the rules. Commander Thek-Saval's flagship suddenly found its main weapons refusing to fire. The plasma conduits that should have channeled energy to the gun batteries instead began forming beautiful crystalline structures as if they had decided they were meant to be art rather than weapons. "What is happening to our systems?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir," his tactical officer replied in panic. "The weapons are physically transforming. The control circuits are growing flowers. The targeting computers are displaying poetry instead of firing solutions." Across the Velkari fleet, similar impossible events were occurring. Ship hulls began to soften like clay, making it impossible to maintain structural integrity. Engine systems convinced themselves they were musical instruments and started playing haunting melodies instead of providing propulsion. Life support systems developed a sudden interest in creating atmospheric light shows rather than maintaining breathable air. "This is impossible!" Thek-Saval shouted. "Matter does not behave this way." "Your matter does now," came Captain Kim's voice over the communication channel. "This is what happens when you fight a species that has learned to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics." The human vessels moved through the chaos with perfect coordination, their weapons reaching out to touch Velkari ships with beams of restructured reality. Where the beams struck, metal became liquid, energy became solid, and complex systems simplified themselves into basic geometric shapes. But the humans were careful. No Velkari ship was destroyed outright. Instead, they were systematically disabled. Their crews left alive but helpless, as their vessels transformed into harmless sculptures of twisted metal and impossible angles. "Surrender now," Captain Kim broadcast to the fleet, "and we will restore your ships to normal. Continue fighting, and you will spend the rest of your lives floating in vessels that have forgotten how to be spacecraft." Commander Thexval looked around his bridge, where his crew stared in terror at control panels that had sprouted leaves and viewing screens that showed abstract mathematical equations instead of space. His proud flagship, veteran of a dozen successful conquests, had been reduced to a work of avant-garde art in less than 5 minutes. I surrender," he said quietly into his communicator. "Louder, Commander," Captain Kim prompted. "Make sure all your ships hear the order." "All Velkari vessels, this is Commander Thexval," he announced across the fleet channel. "Cease all hostile actions immediately. We surrender to the human forces." The reality-altering attacks stopped instantly. The human ships held their positions, weapons still charged but no longer actively firing. The Velkari vessels continued to drift helplessly, their crews trapped inside ships that no longer obeyed the normal rules of physics. "A wise decision, Commander," Captain Kim acknowledged. "Your vessels will be restored to normal functionality, but your weapons and long-range communication systems will remain disabled. You will be escorted to the edge of this system and released to return to your empire." "What message do you want us to carry?" Thexval asked, his pride broken, but his duty as a warrior still intact. Captain Kim was quiet for a long moment before responding. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of centuries of pain and loss. "Tell your empire that humanity has returned. Tell them that we remember every world they destroyed, every life they took, every child they murdered. Tell them that we have moved beyond their understanding, beyond their ability to fight or defeat." The tactical display showed Guardian fleets throughout the galaxy completing similar engagements. Velkari patrol ships, scout vessels, and even some larger fleets were being systematically disabled and captured. Not destroyed, but neutralized with technology that defied all military doctrine. "Tell them that we could destroy every Velkari ship in space within a week if we chose to," Dr. Yoon added. "Tell them that we could turn their homeworld into a garden or a wasteland with equal ease. Tell them that they exist now only because we allow it." "But also tell them this," Captain Kim continued. "Humanity does not seek revenge. We seek justice. We want acknowledgement of the crimes committed against our species. We want reparations for the worlds they destroyed and the lives they took. And we want guarantees that nothing like this will ever happen again." Lieutenant Colonel Park stepped forward to address the Velkari commander directly. "Your empire has 1 year to consider our terms. During that time, we will be rebuilding our civilization and expanding our capabilities. If they choose negotiation over continued warfare, we can reach an agreement that allows both species to coexist." "And if they choose war?" Thexval asked. "Then there will be no Velkari Empire left to threaten anyone," Captain Kim replied simply. "We have 47 Guardian vessels now. In 1 year, we will have 47,000. Your empire's entire fleet would not be sufficient to destroy a single one of our manufacturing stations." The restoration process began immediately. Human nanites flowed over the disabled Velkari ships, convincing their transformed systems to remember their original purposes. Weapons that had become flowers turned back into plasma cannons. Hulls that had softened like putty hardened into proper armor again. But the process was selective. Weapon systems were restored, but permanently locked in safe mode. Communication. Arrays were rebuilt with quantum limiters that would prevent them from transmitting military intelligence. Engine systems were modified to function normally, but with built-in restrictions that would prevent aggressive maneuvers against human vessels. Your ships will function properly for peaceful travel, Engineer Lee explained over the communication channel. But they will be unable to engage in hostile actions against human targets. Consider it a technological reminder of today's lesson. Squad leader Vectron and his warriors watched the proceedings through the viewports of the command chamber. The reality of their situation was finally sinking in. They had awakened something far beyond their understanding, something that could reshape the galaxy itself. "How long have you been planning this?" Vectron asked Captain Kim. "Since the moment we realized our civilization was doomed," the captain replied. "Every human leader, every scientist, every engineer who worked on the Guardian project knew that this day would come. We prepared for over 50 years before the final collapse." Dr. Yoon brought up new displays showing the current status of Guardian vessels across the galaxy. 31 Guardian ships are now fully operational with escort fleets deployed. The remaining 16 will complete their awakening protocols within 6 hours. "What will you do now?" Dexmira asked. "Will you start conquering worlds like our empire did?" Lieutenant Colonel Park shook his head. "We have no interest in conquest. We have the technology to create our own worlds, our own resources, our own space. We don't need to take what belongs to others. Our first priority is restoration," Captain Kim explained. "We will return to the ruins of our former colonies and rebuild them. We will restore the ecosystems that were destroyed, bring back the species that were driven extinct, and create new homes for the human survivors scattered throughout the galaxy." "And if other species try to stop you?" Kexthor asked. "They won't," Dr. Yoon said with quiet confidence. "Not after word spreads about what happened here today. The galaxy will learn that humanity has returned, and that we are no longer the vulnerable prey species we once were." Engineer Lee's voice came over the communicator with a status update. "Captain, the Velkari fleet restoration is complete. All vessels are spaceworthy but weapons locked. They are ready for escort to the system boundary." "Thank you, Nayoung. Begin escort protocols." Human destroyer vessels moved into formation around the disabled Velkari fleet. Their sleek hulls gleamed with an inner light that spoke of power beyond imagination. Compared to these new ships, the Velkari vessels looked crude and primitive, like stone axes next to laser cutters. Commander Thexaval watched helplessly as his once proud fleet was herded toward the edge of the system like livestock.